So we found out where everyone is from. So that is excellent. Thank you, everybody. And so now let's kick things off. Sonia did a great job, and you can see that Access Employment has so many fantastic resources. Really, the mission of today's webinar is to let you know how many different resources you have out there available to you if you want to get a role in learning and development in Canada. Okay. So I'm going to do a lot of talking. As Sonia said, this is recorded, so get ready. Also, I hope you put your questions either in the chat box or in the Q&A section. I can see them both. I've got them both open. So feel free, as something comes up off the top of your head, pop that in and we'll see if we can answer it the best we can. We've got 3 parts to today. The first one is about just what is happening in learning and development, the landscape in Canada. What does that actually mean? What does that look like? So we're going to give you some really good information there to be able to better understand what that looks like here in this country. And then part 2 is our organization. So the organization of which I'm a volunteer and a member, which is I4PL. Remember, we said that was the little nickname for it, the Institute for Performance and Learning. And that'll be in a video format. So we actually have a really fun video for you to watch. It's about 8 minutes long, and then I'll answer any questions that come up through that video. And then part 3 is the certifications that the Institute for Performance and Learning that we offer, that can help you, increase your skills, increase your knowledge, and maybe even make you more employable in Canada. So we'll go through those 3 things. Okay. That's where we're going today. All right. So as I said, get ready. I'm going to give you a lot of information, but I promise we'll make it fun. And please put any comments, any thoughts in the chat box or in the Q&A that you've got as we go. All right, part 1, let's talk about what is happening in learning and development in the Canadian landscape. Okay, so first of all, let's define what is learning and development, because it can be called a number of different things. So as I said, the short form is really it's getting adult employees to the learning that they need to better do their jobs, right? That's what we're talking about, but it comes under so many different headings. So there's learning, there's performance and learning, training and development, talent development, even under human resources as well. The nickname that we call it is L&D. So I've got 2 acronyms for you, I4PL, which is our organization, the Institute for Performance and Learning, and then L&D, which is what a lot of people in learning and development call what they do. So L&D. Okay. And so you can see that in L&D, there's a number of different things, everything from onboarding new employees to developing people who have been around for years and years and years in roles, to developing senior leaders, maybe taking a group of people whose roles are changing. They need to upskill, reskill, gap training. And then, of course, there's all the modes that we use, which is it could be over Zoom like this. It might be e-learning. It might be mobile learning. There's all sorts of things. So it's a really big, interesting industry, the L&D industry. So let's look at what this actually looks like in Canada. And you can see that the good news is L&D is part of almost every organization that exists. Whether it's a small startup, there's probably someone who's still doing some teaching, some training as part of their role, or large organizations actually have completely separate learning and development, or L&D portions that may or may not be part of human resources. So L&D professionals are in manufacturing, transportation, research, government, customer service, food, finance, telecommunications. As I said, I'm just naming a few of the industries, right? Finance, insurance, and real estate tend to invest a lot in L&D, as do governments. Okay, so if you're thinking about, where should I be focused? Finance, insurance companies, real estate, federal, provincial, and municipal governments all tend to have large learning and development, or L&D people. For example, the federal government of Canada is Canada's largest employer. There's 415,000 employees as of 2020. So imagine how much learning and development needs to happen there, right? Okay. And so also there's not-for-profit organizations, charities that also obviously want to still have the best people doing the best learning. And so there's L&D. They might have, one or two people on staff as well. Okay. By the way, these statistics come from some research that was done in 2020 from the Association for Talent Development. So that's kind of our sister brother affiliated association down in the US as well, down in the United States. Okay. So there's tons and tons of stats there. The other thing that I want you to know is that there's kind of 5 big roles or categories for learning and development. So there is HR and talent development, which is really finding the good people and then developing them, right? We've got that. And that could include recruiting around diversity, equity, inclusion, pre-boarding, hiring of students to get them ready for the employment market. All of that is kind of in talent and development. HR and talent development would also maintain kind of the computer database of learning. So in large companies, many of you may know this, but just in case you don't, there's actually something called a human resources information system, otherwise known as an HRIS, which is pretty much a database of who's learned what and when. So if you can imagine, some people have certifications that need to be redone year after year. Companies have databases that manage that, like, oh, this person's certification's about to expire, we got to get them in. Or this person's on a senior learning track, they need to take the next course on as they're progressing through their career. So that's kind of HR and talent development. Linked into that are L&D specialists, consultants, right? And they could filter in. So they're identifying skills. What do we need to do to find the performance or knowledge gaps to help the business? Performance consultants tend to look a lot of times with senior leadership around what's missing, what's going to take our company or our organization to the next level. What do our people need to know and do, so that they get a little bit more into strategy. So we've got HR, talent development, L&D specialists and consultants, performance consultants. We've got instructors, facilitators, and corporate trainers. So they're the ones who actually deliver the learning, right? Doing what I'm doing today. I'm your virtual instructor today. I'm also a facilitator, meaning that I may run meetings where we're developing plans and things like that. And I've been a corporate trainer in my life where I've worked for one company looking at all of these things, right? And then you've got instructional designers and e-learning developers as well. And so instructional designers and e-learning developers are obviously, they're the ones creating the learning. So they're building it, they're thinking it, they're researching it, they're putting it together, and they may be putting it together in, for example, a PowerPoint. They may be putting it together in a mobile app that employees can use on their phones, right? So a number of different roles. Okay, so I would love to just hear from you. What questions do you have about these roles? Feel free to pop them into the chat box. Okay. Kind of the difference. Love to see what's going on. Pop it into the chat box. I'm just checking my chat box. And the other thing, as you are thinking about that, is I'm going to do a little bit of a poll. Let's find out what part are you? By the way, I'm just going to share a slide. This slide has all the information you need on the roles, but don't you worry, you don't need to take a screenshot. We are going to pop this into the chat box for you because it has a number of different details as to what I just said about all the different roles in L&D. Okay. Yeah. And so thank you. So I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Ilumi. Hopefully that's close. I apologize for not knowing quite how to pronounce it, but you were asking about performance consultants. Let me go back and be a little bit more specific. So performance consultants, think about more of the strategy piece, but performance consultants could be also instructors, facilitators, corporate trainers, but really they're focused on analyzing learning needs. So looking at the business and identifying the skills, the performance, the knowledge gaps, Like what, working with senior leaders to say, feels like our people need to know more about this in order for our business to remain competitive. And so they would go and advise on those effective learning solutions. They want to make sure that all the learning objectives align with the business needs, right? So, and they will also be designing, maybe delivering, implementing, evaluating the learning solutions, really looking at how are we making a difference, okay? So hopefully, Aluyemi, that helps you, and hopefully I'm pronouncing your name somewhat correctly. Okay, so hopefully that was helpful. That's a great question, because performance consultants can be a little bit, that's kind of why they're in the middle. They can be a little bit of everything, frankly, right? Okay, good. I'm so glad that that's cleared up. And we've also got this crazy document for you in sitting, now it's in the chat box. So if you want to go and download that, that would be perfect. And yes, absolutely, you could have all of these roles could be combined into a senior manager or a director of L&D, director of learning and development. It could be part of an HR role as well. Absolutely. So you would do a little bit of everything. You may even have people who only are facilitators, who are only your instructional designers, but you within the organization are more senior and you're doing, kind of managing all 5 of these roles. That was a question in the chat box. Is it possible to have all of these roles into a big role? Absolutely. Right. Okay. So let me do a little poll here. Let's find out where are you? What do you consider yourselves, my wonderful people who are on this session? Where does your experience fit? Are you kind of talent, HR and talent development? So doing more of we're looking for the good talent, or we're in human resources? Are you a specialist, which is probably a little bit more junior, L&D consultant, performance consultant, instructor, facilitators? You've done lots of training in the past, right? Okay, beautiful. Corporate trainer, right? And as you are answering this poll, so hopefully everyone can see this poll. I think 5 of you have answered. I'm also just going to check. We've got some wonderful people coming up in the chat box. So I'm just going to wait until you've answered that poll, and then I'm going to pull up the Q&A. Can the poll give room for multiple choices? I actually don't know if we set this poll up for multiple choices. You might be a number of these things. If you are a number of these things, then maybe choose L&D consultant or performance consultant. And Promi, I know that you've asked me in the Q&A, what is the difference between a performance consultant and an L&D consultant? Really, the answer would be it's not a ton. The performance consultant, I would say, is probably a bit more senior and even more focused on the full business outcomes, right? So the performance consultant may be looking on the business results, whereas the L&D specialists or an L&D consultant are focusing more like probably per job, right? The performance consultant's more focused on the business goals, whereas the learning and development consultant would be more focused on individual roles. Like, hey, we have a marketing team and they need to know more about how, website search. So that's what an L&D specialist and consultant might do. Whereas a performance consultant would say, our marketing needs to do this to help run the business. So the L&D consultant is looking more at the skill gaps, whereas the performance consultant is looking more at the business learning gaps. Okay, so just different levels of strategy. Hopefully that helps. Okay, yeah, and Sebastian, thank you for that great question. We are going to cover different certifications coming up, and Lisa, I think that that will be covered as well, right? So in terms of the instructional designer. Okay. All right. And Olivia, academic coaching to professionals. Yeah, absolutely. But you may also be an L&D consultant. You may also be a performance. It would really depend on so I'm just going to end this so we can see everybody who was able to do the poll. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let me share the results out with you so you can kind of see what came up in terms of we have a lot of instructors and facilitators and some instructional designers as well, right? Okay, and then we've got a lot of people who are sitting in the other category, and then learning leadership too. Okay, love it. Thank you everyone for being here. That is absolutely awesome, and keep those questions coming. I really appreciate it. I'll try and answer them the best I can. Okay. So let's get into how the heck do you get a job when you are in L&D in Canada? What does that look like? Hold on, I'm getting my notes to catch up with where my brain is. Okay, so here's what you need to think about is, first of all, most jobs are filled through networking. The U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics said that 85% of jobs are filled through networking. And so that is similar in Canada. A lot of people get their jobs through networking. However, I don't want you to be discouraged if you don't know anybody in Canada, right? Because there's also all of the education, credentials, experience, skills, knowledge, all of those things that you've already been doing will definitely help you. That's what employers in Canada are looking for, right? There is a formal process based on credentials, often with some help and some thinking. Your experience from your home country will translate to what employers are looking for here in Canada. And by the way, this is what ACCESS Employment can also help you with, right? They'll say, oh, take this, just describe it this way, and you've absolutely got, the credentials or the education or the experience and the skills that matches this particular job posting, right? So, and we wanted to show you, like, here's an example of the job from the I4PL Career Center. So when you're a member with the Institute for Performance and Learning, you have access to a specialized career center that has a posting of only L&D jobs. So we pulled this example. And by the way, I just want to say, I want to go back to the networking piece as well, that one of the reasons that I love the Institute for Performance and Learning is it's an incredible networking organization, as is ACCESS Employment. So we can help you with the networking, get to know people in L&D, and help you kind of shape your credentials and experience, right? So let's look at this job posting. So let's look at this job posting. So have a little read of this. Sorry, you may not be able to see the very bottom line, but it says ability to establish and maintain positive working relationships with technical SMEs, so subject matter experts, and internal team members. So meaning you should be a good person and be able to collaborate with other people, right? You need to be able to work well with others. So take a look at this. This is a health and safety organization in Alberta. So remember that Canada is a huge country. Alberta is Western Canada. So it's actually a 4-hour plane ride away from where I am in Toronto, Calgary, Alberta, gorgeous city. You got mountains, you got water. This is a health and safety posting. So you can see they've got 3 years successful experience in training content. They are looking for technical writing. So if you put 2 and 2 together, it's a health and safety organization looking for technical writing. You're probably going to be writing some standards and procedures and then training on those, right? And then they want a bachelor's degree in adult learning. Instructional design is preferred. So they also want you can see the combo, right? They want you to be able to also, build and create the learning. Now look at this though, equivalent combination of education and experience will be considered. So if you've got, a degree somewhere else, or you're thinking, I'm not sure, you might as well put your resume in, because the combination of education and experience that you've got may really work for them. Now they do ask for a certified training and development professional. So this is the nickname for this is a CTDP. Okay. And what that means is that's actually one of our credentials at the I4PL, so the Institute for Performance and Learning. So you can see that it's quite well recognized across Canada, right? By the way, if you don't have the work experience necessarily, then one of the great things is that you can include your volunteer or your academic work, right? And if you've applied through networking, because if you've known somebody or if you've applied, they will definitely consider that. If they know, they're like, listen, I've been working hard, I've been volunteering here and there, somebody's recommended me, your experience will get considered there too, right? Okay. So any questions as you look at this? You can kind of see the salary as well, right? There's quite a range depending on, so these are Canadian dollars. There's quite a range depending on your experience, okay? And notice they're also asking for facilitation skills. So this L&D specialist role is a little bit of content design. It's a little bit of facilitating as well. And then probably interviewing different people who are already in the role. That's the subject matter experts that they're talking about, right? Okay. Any thoughts or questions from there? I do just also want to show you, I'm just checking the Q&A. We're all good. Okay. I do also just want to show you again the compensation. Okay. Yeah. All right. And remember that, one of the best ways to to interview for jobs is through networking once people get to know you. And so that's why ACCESS Employment and organizations like I4PL, we love getting to know you and being able to share out like, oh, I think you'd be great for for this role or that role, right? Here's the compensation, so you can kind of see the ranges. I'm not going to say too much about this, but the wonderful thing is that L&D is a fairly well-paid role throughout, and these ranges can go much higher than this depending on your expertise as well. Olivia, the title for entry-level positions, probably a specialist, right? With a year of experience or less. You might want to look at learning and development coordinator positions. So those would be people who you're kind of helping all of the L&D consultants, the designers, the e-learning, you're coordinating that learning. It's actually a great way to be able to see all the different roles in learning and development to bring together training. So that's from Olivia. She was just asking, what's the entry level position? It's an L&D coordinator role. Okay. All right. Okay. You are welcome, Olivia. All right. So there's kind of the good compensation. And then, as I said, I just want to give you a couple of trends to watch around learning and development in Canada. So have a little look at what's on the screen, and nothing in here is super surprising, I don't think. But I do want you to see that 40% of 40% of training in large organizations is still done face-to-face, even though I know we've just had a pandemic. Obviously, things have changed a little bit. And we're still in this beautiful pandemic, right? So that virtual training has gone up a lot in 2020 and 2021. It used to be, only 1/5 to 1/10 of what we did. It's obviously very different now. And you can see that e-learning, virtual learning, all of that is coming into play. So, and then we've got in here also self-paced and informal learning. So that's mobile learning. So kind of anything you can access through your phone. Then we've got micro learning, which counts as small bits of learning, often anywhere between 2 to 20 minutes, people would count as micro learning. And on the job training, which is what a lot of us go through when we first join an organization, right? So you can see that there's virtual learning, e-learning, and you could also be a face-to-face facilitator. You could be a virtual facilitator like what I'm doing. You could be an e-learning facilitator where maybe you're filmed and then you're recorded, right? And then self-paced. So we're kind of covering all the different modes and modalities here today. Okay. And let me just check the chat box, which is higher in terms of industry view, L&D specialist or L&D consultant. Probably L&D consultant, I would say. Just because the consultant has a lot more to do. Like you're more focused on the business performance, not just on job and skill performance. Okay. And areas you haven't all seem similar or subset. Yeah, absolutely. So Niken, hopefully I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Nakan Jadko. That didn't seem right, but I'm working on it. We have a document that I think, did it get shared in the chat box? If you scroll up in the chat box, it actually outlines all the differences, because I know it does seem blended, and that's because a lot of the roles are blended. But we do have a document with a lot of writing on it that will be available for you after this session, that can help you just trying to figure out what the heck am I? What titles should I be looking for? What do I want to do? Okay, so hopefully that helps. All right. So I do want to talk about, what does learning and development look like in post-COVID, because there's going to be a lot of changes. And one of the things that happened is that if you saw the 2019 statistics I just presented, where it said 40% of learning was still face-to-face, that has shifted. So L&D professionals needed to reskill quite quickly, right? I was one of those lucky facilitators where I'd been using Zoom and Microsoft Teams and all digital learning for years and years, but lots of my counterparts like, right when the pandemic hit, like, okay, I guess I'm not standing up in front of people anymore. I got to learn this technology, right? So we need to reskill as L&D professionals. And also, we're really focused these days on, why are we learning something? So how are we improving the business performance or people's performance, rather than just learning something for the sake of learning it, right? That's been a big new focus. Oh, and thanks, by the way, Pat has, my wonderful Pat, who is my colleague, she has put the handout again into the chat box, okay? Obviously, like anything in life, technology in learning is increasing. In any industry, technology is coming into play, right? So it is also coming into play, obviously, in our industry. We are measuring things more. We are able to have integration of virtual classrooms, e-learning, face-to-face programs. There's a lot more blending of learning, and there's a lot more measurement as well that's able to happen. Right. So here's what that means for you. Okay. Because I'll just let you have a little read of all of those points. But absolutely, we are looking at, the tangible impact on the bottom line of businesses. How are we driving business performance as learning and development people? Where are we making a difference? How are we measuring that? Even how are we looking at what learning people are loving, and what's making a difference in their roles, what's showing up in business performance? We are measuring that a lot more. And also, how is learning strengthening the culture in your workplace, strengthening, as I said, business performance? So there's lots of changes. These probably aren't completely unexpected, but do know that these are some pretty great points that you need to evaluate, especially if you're going into a networking, or if you're going into a job situation. Think about, where are my skills in all of these points? How can I help organizations who are focused on the points on the screen? How can I help with that? Right? Okay. All right. Any other questions or thoughts? I'll just pause for a minute. What have we got out there? Fingers on keyboards if you still have some more questions or thoughts as you look at these. Right. Okay. Okay. All right, my incredible people. So that's kind of part one. So that is the landscape of learning and development in Canada. Okay. Now what we're going to do, and keep the questions and in the Q&A coming. Love it. Thank you so much. I want to make sure you're getting the information that you that you appreciate. So that session, that's kind of part one, all about learning and development, L&D in Canada. Now what I'm going to do is introduce you to the organization where I volunteer in evenings and weekends, etc., which is the I4PL. I've already introduced it, the Institute for Performance and Learning, and why you might be interested in partnering and becoming a member with us. So I've got a little video. It's about 8 minutes long. It'll give you a bit more of an overview of what we've been talking about and our organization as a whole. Okay. So bear with me. Let me just make sure I am sharing my computer sound so that you can see this video. And as you go, just put your questions in the chat box. So if you see something in the video and you think, hey, I need to ask about that, put it in the chat box, and then we'll answer them at the end of the video. Okay. All right, everybody. There we go.
The Institute for Performance and Learning, I4PL. Introduction to I4PL and the benefits for members. Our purpose is to elevate the performance of the Canadian workforce. We foster collaboration, spark innovation, and create opportunities to upgrade skills. And we enable those in our profession to make a measurable impact on all workplaces and the Canadian economy. I4PL is a dynamic community of practice that validates, supports, and celebrates excellence and a central location of professional development. We are Canada's only member association for workplace performance and learning professionals, with over 1,400 members across Canada, as well as international regions. The Institute has 16 local chapters across Canada: British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec, Nova Scotia, and Newfoundland and Labrador, where members can connect, network, attend events, volunteer, and engage throughout the year. The Institute is governed by a board of directors. They are responsible for governance, finance, events, and association management expertise. Member benefits, career and learning. Webinars. The national arm of I4PL presents monthly national webinars. During the pandemic, local chapters have also offered webinars to all I4PL members nationally. Certification. I4PL offers 2 professional designations: CTP Certified Training Practitioner, CTDP Certified Training and Development Professional.
I'm just going to pause for a second because I'll answer a few more questions about those in part 3, just so you know. Okay.
Courses. Get the knowledge and skills you need to be a leader in the performance and learning industry from Canada's Performance and Learning Authority. Choose from 2 industry-leading master certificate programs or an ever-growing catalog of individual courses. Online courses and classroom courses are available. Career Center. Connecting talent with great opportunities. Find a job opportunity in our Career Center. Competencies. The Institute sets the standard for workplace performance and learning professionals in Canada through the Competencies for Performance and Learning Professionals. Conference. I4PL's annual conference is the premier event for performance and learning professionals to build their networks, develop new skills, and connect with other The Institute for
Sorry, I meant to pause it, and I'll go to where we were, but I meant to pause it and just talk about the conference for a second. Where are we? There we go. I'll find our little space again. Sorry, everybody. But what I wanted to say is the conference, obviously with COVID, it hasn't been live, but normally when it is live, it's somewhere big in a big conference or hotel, and it's so fun. You go and learn, and obviously as learning and development people, we love our own learning and development, so you can go and do all of that. It's quite amazing. There have been lots of online learning sessions too, and the conference was online this year. So let me just go back to Let me just find our little spot again. All right, bear with me.
Or an ever-growing
We
catalog
saw this already.
Career Center.
Oh, let's talk about
Connecting talent with great opportunities. Find a job opportunity in our Career Center. Competencies. The Institute sets the standard for workplace performance and learning professionals in Canada through the Competencies for Performance and Learning Professionals. Conference. I4PL's annual conference is the premier event for performance and learning professionals to build their networks, develop new skills, and connect with other L&D professionals across Canada. Mentoring. The Mentor City platform allows mentors and mentees to connect seamlessly. Events are held regularly to encourage mentees and mentors to register and connect.
And I'm just going to pause there because you do have to apply to be both a mentor and a mentee. It's not too rigorous of a process, but you definitely have to, especially if you're putting yourself up as a mentor, you do have to have some things that you're offering. But this is a great way, again, thinking about the networking and thinking about the benefit of the Institute. This is a pretty great way to really learn about L&D quickly from someone who's already been there. All right.
Member benefits, build your network. There are different ways to build and expand your network when a member of I4PL. The Mentorship Program. Volunteering. Many members gain valuable experience and network contacts through volunteering for the conference or for their local chapter. Attending local chapter events. By attending local professional development events and networking events, members are able to connect with other L&D professionals in their local area. Competency Framework. The Institute sets the standard for workplace performance and learning professionals in Canada through a competency framework and a code of ethics. Those documents are the foundation of the certification process. The Competencies for Performance and Learning Professionals is a publication that serves as a guidebook and framework. It is periodically reviewed and updated to recognize technological, economic, and industry changes and to remain up to date in setting the standards and highlighting best practice. Members can access it for free online.
And I'm just going to pause right here again. So what I recommend is that you look at this competency framework and figure out, where do I have experience? Where have I already done quite a bit of it? Because you can see it covers a number of the different pieces in L&D and a number of the different roles, right? So you can look at that and just figure out, I do have a whole bunch of competencies in this area. Okay.
The competencies have also been used by several schools to develop their adult learning programs and curriculums. The diagram shows the 7 competency areas. Partnering with clients. Assessing performance needs. Designing curricula. Designing learning experiences. Facilitating learning. Supporting transfer of learning. And evaluating learning. I4PL offers 2 types of certifications, the Certified Training and Development Professional and the Certified Training Practitioner. The CTDP and CTP are the only professional designations in Canada for workplace performance and learning. 40% of I4PL members are certified. Of relevance today is the fact that the entire certification process can be completed online. Toronto Chapter. Toronto Chapter is the largest of the 16 chapters in Canada. Our goals are to engage our members in professional development and networking events, to support and encourage a community of like-minded learning professionals, to provide a positive and engaging membership experience from the time you join the Toronto Chapter and throughout your membership.
And just a reminder, this is because we are the Toronto chapter who's partnered with ACCES Employment. We're talking about us, because people like to talk about themselves. So we're talking about us. But please remember that there are chapters all across Canada that also have these same goals. So no matter where you are in Canada, look for an I4PL chapter because they all have the same goals. And by the way, I just wanted to answer, just go back to the competencies as well. So you can take a look at that and get that document. But they are a great way to find out what you specifically need to do in an L&D job and as you are applying. And I also just want to answer a quick question about the mentoring, because I saw that Promi, you had brought up the question around when does the mentoring happen. And so mentoring program is ongoing throughout the year. There are some formal events, which I think happen about 4 times a year, but you can kind of join and get a mentor or join to become a mentor kind of any time throughout the year. And then you'll kind of start a more formal process as well. So here's all about the Toronto chapter again.
Toronto chapter activities. The professional development events provide a forum for members to come together and learn in a group setting on a topic relevant to the industry and our membership. Presentations are reviewed and selected by a team of instructional designers and learning consultants who work with presenters to ensure that presentations are interactive, follow adult learning principles, and reflect the diversity of our profession. PD events take place in the evenings. Chapter networking events include networking breakfasts and evening socials. Networking breakfasts run between 7:30 and 9 a.m. monthly and are a great way to start your workday feeling inspired. Evening socials consist of a variety of evening activities ranging from mix and mingles to team and community building activities and sporting events. Whether members prefer to build their networking in morning or the evening, we have a forum that allows members to connect with each other face to face, to discuss where the learning industry is headed, share ideas, tools, and best practices, while making new contacts in an informal setting.
And just a reminder as well, that I don't know why my clicking is not working, but just a reminder that I know it said face to face, but all of those also through COVID have been online and have been virtual. Okay,
Networking
so
in
just to
morning
remind
or
you
the
of that,
evening.
let me just click here. Okay, so there's the networking events.
Our Membership Experience Committee has developed a membership roadmap, is in the process of formally welcoming new members, and connects with members using social media. Activities include a membership welcome video, podcasts, and social media messages, keeping members informed and engaged.
So we just want
the diversity.
Let me just pause.
The Institute for
my little pause button just keeps clicking back. Anyway, I wanted to point out that when we welcome you in, so you do have some support, that you'll kind of start getting newsletters, you'll be invited, you'll start to know the chapter events, so that we try and be as welcoming as possible and inclusive as possible. Okay. Oh, hold on. Let me go. My video clicking. I don't know why it's not quite working.
Process of formally welcoming
that's
new
the
members
membership
and
experience.
connects with members using social media. Activities include a membership welcome video, podcasts, and social media messages, keeping members informed and engaged. The Diversity and Inclusion Committee does membership outreach to Black, Indigenous, and people of color, and other groups. This committee is preparing accessibility standards for Toronto chapter events, webinars, and meetings, and is creating a Toronto chapter diversity and inclusion policy document. Join us at a chapter event. We welcome any questions you may have.
Yay! Okay, so there is us. That's
the Institute for Performance.
Now it's just going to keep on playing. So that is us. And I did see a question about, okay, well, so what is the cost of membership? So you've got a number of different things that we do, right? You can see that there's professional learning, there's networking, we bring new members on and make sure you're feeling welcomed, and we have diversity and inclusion to make sure that learning across Canada is as inclusive as possible. So I just wanted to show you what the fees are. And I did see a question about the fees. So students are kind of, if you're still in your learning mode, your pre-employment, then we can offer obviously mentoring and networking. Emerging professionals is anyone who's entry level, which we consider kind of 4 years. You have less than 4 years experience in any one of those realms. So obviously acquiring new skills, networking as well. The individual membership is someone who's got kind of between 4 to 25 years experience. And obviously you will know that if you will know if you are a retired L&D person. So just really the way to do this is to your application your application will probably tell you which category you're in. But if ever you have a question, just ask the head office at I4PL. They'll be able to kind of tell you, and especially the membership committee. Olivia, I saw a fantastic question about the data on the diversity of the field. We actually don't. We have a lot of members who we have not surveyed in terms of diversity. So that is a fantastic thing I'm sure the diversity committee is on that, but if you are interested in that, bring that question to them, because I think that's a really important data point that we should all have some great knowledge on. So yeah, and Saddam, I saw in the chat box as well. So interested in emerging professional, you're somewhere in between. That's fine. Our membership committee and our member experiences, they'll be able to tell you kind of where your application would sit. Okay. All right. So any other questions around that? Let me see if I've got everybody's questions answered. So far, so good. Okay. And then just to wrap up, because we're almost at time, we've got another 8 minutes left. I wanted to, if you've got questions, pop them in the chat box, pop them in the Q&A. But you did see that I4PL, we offer certifications. So these certifications are often looked at by employers as a way of saying, okay, they have this bed of knowledge that we're looking for, that we need. And, you know, they may look for them, as you saw in that job description, they may look for them in qualifications. So the certifications are over and above the membership. You can join for the fees that you saw per year and have a great time. The certifications are that additional level. And so here's kind of what it looks like. And I'd love for you to type in the chat box, what certifications do you have right now? Whatever whatever they are called in your country or in your profession, what certifications do you already have? Maybe just give me a little list, everybody. Let's see what you've got already. And I'll just go through some of these. So it could be a bachelor's degree at some sort of diploma from a college or a university or a school, whatever you've got. It could be something to do with human resources certifications or learning and development certifications, right? Any other certifications as well that you might have. So just let us know. Okay, so Olivia, doctorate in educational psychology, research and adult learning, beautiful. Right? So you're probably going to apply with your doctorate. You'd be applying for something, I would say, a little more senior, and probably you're looking at more strategy, but it's totally up to you. Maybe you feel like I would just love to be a facilitator. I think actually you were giving some ideas in the chat box about what you wanted to do. Little non-research applied experience. Yeah, so that's okay. So that is a great way to you maybe start off. You can think about what you want to do. Start off as instructional designer. Maybe you're using all of that gorgeous research into figuring out, what does this look like in real life, right? It's really up to you. You've got so many different avenues. And then, so I am not sure. I keep saying Nakanjako, but are you Margaret? You might be Margaret, right? I'm just wondering if your name is flipped backwards. So anyway, a bachelor's in education. All right, so incredible. That's what I have as well. And I actually went in and did a sales career after my Bachelor of Education, which is how I often do a lot of sales training these days now. Certificate in professional painter and sandblaster. Aslam, okay, great. So you may be looking for, if you're looking to do more learning and development in that role, in that industry, or maybe you're looking to completely change. Thank you everyone for putting these in, because it's really interesting. Diploma in management, right, from Saddam, Chartered Institute, beautiful, from Nigeria. Okay, so personnel management, yeah, so this may translate over to an HR qualification in Canada. You'd have to look and see, or at least the experience would, right? So thank you everyone for putting these in, because it's really fascinating to be able to see. Okay. All right, and let me just see, I think ProMe, bachelor's degree in HR management as well, right? So you can see how these kind of, okay, so you are Naka. Naka from Uganda, welcome, welcome. All right, everyone, so let me just wrap this up by just letting you know the options you have if you wanted to add on to your learning and development qualifications here in Canada. You saw that we've got a CTP and a CTDP, so Certified Training Practitioner and Certified Training Development Professional. The CTP is a little more junior, and then the CTDP, I mean, it depends what you're wanting to do, but let me just give you the overall competencies. So the CTP is just, if it's like, I just want to facilitate. I want to lead the learning, whether it's virtual, whether it's online. That's mostly what this is all about. And some of you may already have those qualifications already. And Olivia, you are welcome. All right, and then the CTDP has a lot more of the competencies, as you can see from this circle. So so take a look at what would best. And yes, the answer is absolutely. You can start with your CTP, and then you can do this as well. So take a look at what best suits you. And a lot of people start here because the criteria is a little bit different, and then I'm going the wrong way in my flipping here, and then you can go and do this. So absolutely, you can kind of see here's the process, and you don't need to know all of this in this session. Remember, I said I was going to tell you a lot of information, but here's kind of the typical path that you would do. Takes about a year with I4PL, so you need to pre-qualify and register. There's a knowledge exam, there's a skill demo, right? And then you would get your certification. So there's some online learning, there's some reading and writing, etc., that you need to do. And then there's also an in-person or virtual demo that you also need to do, right? To make sure. Okay. And then I just wanted to let you know that there is a fee for doing these certifications. It's in addition to the membership fee. So it's the exact same fee, but just take a look at that. Want you to in full transparency to kind of know what will be happening to your pocketbook. Okay. And let's just take the last 2 minutes. Here are some of the reasons, as you probably already been hearing about throughout this session. Why would you even want to get certified with I4PL? But there's a number of different things. First of all, it allows you to recognize your skills and other people to recognize your skills. You can acknowledge your work. You get to identify your areas of strength. Like, ooh, I'm actually better at this than I am at that. And it will help you get a ton of knowledge about what L&D looks like in Canada, best practices as well, and then obviously getting, strengthen your culture of learning, because even if you get a role right now and then you think, oh, I'm going to do that certification with the I4PL, maybe you join us as a member and then you decide to do it, you do get such an even deeper understanding of what and how to affect learning and business outcomes and business performance. So we also wanted to let you know that if in the chat box right now, we actually, if you wanted to come and join us for a networking event or something like that, we've got a special offer. So click on that special offer in the chat box, and it will give you $50 off of any, whether you want to do join as a member, or whether you want to attend a networking event or any of your certifications. So that is in the chat box right now. For those of you who are watching this webinar in recording, you can always contact somebody at the I4PL and ask for that special offer. Okay, and it is through ACCESS Employment. So thank you to ACCESS Employment. I am just wondering if there are any questions as we wrap up, everybody. And I just wanted to say, you are welcome, Michelle. Here are our websites again, performanceandlearning.ca. There's membership benefits for you. And I just want to say thank you as well to all the I4PL volunteers who took part in working with ACCESS Employment to give you all of this great information today. Let me just go back to this. Any questions? Chat box, Q&A, performanceandlearning.ca is our website. And I will just turn it over to Sonia then to wrap us up. Thank you, everyone, for your interactivity and your curiosity and your wonderful questions today. Really appreciate it.